Hello, everybody. Guess who it is? Erica with Not Your Average EDC. We are plowing through these videos today. We are going to talk about the Emerson Micro Commander right now. Just a heads up, if you hear pitter-patter or anything, it's all my dogs. They're very attached and they want to do the video with me, so you might hear them walking around. But let's talk about this really sweet little blade right here. This is the Emerson Micro Commander. We did not know that these were coming back again. The last release was a really long time ago, like years ago. 2017 maybe? I'm not quite sure. But they're back. They had a drop. And boy, is this a sweet little blade. So, disclaimer. I have not used this once. However, the big brother to this, the Mini Commander, I owned and used and carried for a long time. And this is literally identical to it, just smaller. So we're going to carry that knowledge over and go over this because it's literally the same thing, just smaller. Okay, so the Micro Commander. This is actually the same size as the Mini A100 by Emerson Knives. I'm afraid to move my camera because I have it set up really well, so hopefully you can kind of get an idea that these are the same size, even though it's not completely in frame. They are the same size, which is a perfect EDC size for a knife. This particular one does not have the thumb disc like a normal Emerson. It has a little thumb hole, which actually, let's bring this back out. Normal Emersons come with a thumb disc for a deployment method, or a wave, or both. This one just has the wave and the thumb hole. So that's a little different, but it is very cool, very, very cool, and that deployment hole is awesome. Specs. 154 cm steel. Emerson does a very nice heat treat. They heat it very low, but for EDC it's great because it's a very forgiving steel with a very forgiving heat treat. So you're not going to be breaking and chipping and cracking this thing. It's not heated that hard, or that high, I should say. It's very forgiving and it will kind of roll around on you instead. So if you are a novice at sharpening or coming into the scene and looking for an EDC knife, Emerson's 154 is fantastic. G10 scales, typical Emerson pocket clip, double detent on this bad boy. So both sides have a detent. That's pretty neat. Titanium liner on the lock side here, steel on the other. That is interesting. Titanium is soft, so it will stick to that blade sometimes. You have a little bit of clicking and a little bit of lock stick. I haven't had an issue with it, but I know some people have, so I just wanted to mention that. I think this blade is about 3 1/4 inches, so very, very small and usable EDC blade with a sick recurve. It is V-ground with a chisel edge. So what that means is we have a bevel on this side and a bevel on this side. We have an edge on this side. We do not have an edge on this side, so it is only ground for an edge on one side. This will be slicier than most Emersons because it is V-ground, so it thins out much more. But all Emersons will be chisel ground for the edge. Let's go over some pros, guys. So, perfect size. This is a nice small EDC blade. It is about the same size as a mini grip. It's the same size as an A100. A mini A100, I'm sorry. It is the same size as a mini A100. Very small, pocketable. Really nice for EDC. Now, here's the catch-22. It's a perfect EDC knife for somebody that knows how to sharpen, because what happens is you're going to have to use some type of rod or circular type sharpening system, because this recurve is not going to hit a normal stone. Let's bring out a diamond DC4, a flat diamond stone. If you went to sharpen this on a flat diamond stone or a flat stone in general, it's not going to touch, guys. You can't really get that recurve area to touch the stone. It is too curved, it is too concave, and you can't get it to touch really no matter how you angle it. So with this particular blade shape, this recurve from Emerson, you do have to use something like a sharpening rod, or I do know that Spyderco makes like a, what's it called, a tri-way or something. It's basically like a triangle shape, and it has a couple of little cylinder rods on each side, like 3 of them, and that would hit this. But a normal sharpening stone won't. I do believe that if you have one of those like KME or Work Sharp things, or something where it holds the knife for you in a clamp and you move the stone around, that I believe would work too. It's just like a general normal flat stone isn't going to work because you're not going to make surface contact. Something to consider when you do buy this, because at some point if you're going to use it, it will have to be sharpened. This little thumb hole here is a pro in my opinion, because for some people the disc on the normal Emersons gets in the way. You don't really have that here. You just have the wave and the thumb hole. So that's a pro. As I mentioned before, the heat treat and the steel is a pro because it's a very forgiving steel. I really like that Emerson knives don't chip, really. They just roll around, and it's so easy to push those rolls back out and get those straightened out and sharpened. Emerson does great grinds. Their grind lines are incredible. I've never really gotten a knife from Emerson that had poor grind lines. However, if you can see, right at the tip there, at the very, very tip, I can't quite get it to focus. That's a burnt tip, guys, and that's common for Emersons. See that discoloration at the very tip? It's kind of a brownish color. That's burnt. I have never noticed it affecting the performance of the steel, but if you're a nitpicker, that burnt tip is common in this model. It's common in Emerson's. Oh, hi, little guy. How cute is that little ladybug? Goodbye. Okay. Pros. It's just an all-around great EDC knife. And I do think the price is reasonable for what you get. Emerson has a fantastic warranty. They're very clear. They are very transparent. They're very honest. And every part of this knife is made in the USA. So it is handmade, hand finished in the USA with hand. It's all assembled by Emerson workers, and every part is made in the USA. Right down to those screws. Every single part of this knife is manufactured in the USA, not overseas. A lot of companies that are USA, like Benchmade, will have a USA-made blade and maybe handle scales and stuff. It'll be assembled in the USA, but the tiny little parts of hardware, like the screws and the pivot and stuff, will be made overseas, and they just ship them over. So it's assembled and basically made in the USA, but it's not like those actual parts are manufactured with us. Just something to think about. I think it's a pro that we make everything over here with Emerson. Every single part of this knife is manufactured here. I think the biggest pro about this model is that this recurve is a frickin' cardboard eater. So if you are a normal EDC type person that does normal tasks like cutting boxes, sorry about the barking, this recurve eats up cardboard, guys. because this blade shape moves the material back. It is literally made to push through cardboard and material and push it back out of your way and just slice right through it. So this is slicey, guys. It is a slicey knife. As thick as that looks, it's a slicer. Let's talk about some cons. Now, these aren't necessarily cons for me, but I know they're cons for other people because I've heard it. Okay. Some people don't like the burnt tips. Some people don't like the finish on Emerson's because it's not exact. So if we look here, those G10 scales indeed override the liners. That is not flush. They override. If that's going to bug you, don't buy an Emerson. We have Nylotron washers. Those are self-lubricating aerospace-grade washers that do not need oil or grease. They are injected and impregnated with, I believe it's silicone, but I could be mistaken. They basically are self-lubricating, so you don't have to lubricate this yourself. This will do it over time as you open and close the knife. It pushes out its own lubrication. Some people don't like that, though, and they want the phosphor bronze washers, so that could be a con. We have Phillips and Flathead hardware. A pro for me, a con for others, because for some reason people are convinced that these strip out and Torx bits don't. I have both of them strip out, so I don't give a crap, because all of them strip out for me. Hey! The dogs are psycho today and every day. We have some nice fat backspacers, which I like. They might be big and chunky for other people. The knife in general might be a little chunky for some people. It's not super, super thin. The G10 will rip your actual skin off. I love it. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people hate this grippy G10. A lot of people don't like a lot of things about Emerson's, and these are just the type of knife where you are going to love it or you're going to hate it. If you are a hard use EDCer that doesn't necessarily care about fit and finish, but does care about the knife actually performing for you, you will like this. If you appreciate American craftsmanship and history and transparency and reliability, you will like Emerson knives and this model. But if you are looking for something with a really nice fit and finish, if you are looking for something that is fidgety and does not have lock stick at first, and that will fling open and swing around and be all cool and fancy, guys, this is not for you. This is not for you at all. Don't waste your money. Emerson's are so particular. They target a very specific group of workers. You have to know how to sharpen this. You have to not give a crap about fit and finish. You have to not care that tip is burnt. Although, man, that centering is great, and honestly, all of my Emersons are centered. You just have to be carefree when it comes to Emerson, guys. And if you're not gonna like this. They're kind of chunky, they're not fidgety, and they're, in a sense, old school. Hardware is not super up to date. The whole thing is just not super up to date. I mean, could you machine this entire knife to be perfectly fitted and finished and fancy and beautiful? Yes. But Emerson doesn't want to, they don't care to, and that's what they live by, and that's what people that like Emerson actually really enjoy about them, is that we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for the dog to stop bumping the table. We're also looking for reliability, and that's what you get. There are people on YouTube that have recorded themselves doing some pretty messed up stuff with Emersons, and they just keep trucking. You have to just appreciate the hard use aspect the famous in the worst places aspect of an Emerson to actually appreciate and enjoy it and like it. And there's a reason why these knives, Emerson knives, are issued to our Navy SEALs, our U.S. militia, our aerospace industry, our police force. There's a reason that these are issued to them, and it's because they're reliable and they're frickin' rugged. These are a use your shit tool. But there are definitely some cons for the normal EDCer and the average person. So definitely something to keep in mind. Best use for this, guys. Best use is general EDC. Or you definitely could use this if you were in the trades. But if you are someone who wants an easily maintainable blade, this isn't it. And I know a lot of us tradesmen like a blade that we can quickly and easily maintain. Hey, Romy, do we have to do that? Dear God, these dogs are cuckoo. Easily maintainable blades are kind of important, at least for me, because I don't want to spend a crap ton of time working on my knife. I don't have time for it. I'm busy. I'm busy out in the field. Let's just... You know what? We're going to detour for a second, because this frickin' GSP out here is barking at the compost pile. Why? Because the feral cats live in it, so she hunts them. And that's what she's doing right now. She's hunting and barking. Hi, Mr. Kane. He's a good boy. Look at him. He's like, I am a good boy. Okay, back to the knife, guys. Back to the knife. Yeah. So this isn't for everyone, but general EDC use. Just trying to get the camera fixed back here. General EDC use, this will be great. It is a material eater. So any material that this goes through, it's just going to eat right up. If you can maintain that awkward but beautiful blade, you're going to love it. Stay steady. Okay. Yeah, this is, honestly, I would recommend this blade for people that are in an industry where they break down a lot of boxes. Like, this is prime for that. It's not going to be like a pry bar or a piercer or anything like that, but it will eat cardboard for days. So if you break down a lot of boxes or just a lot of material like that in general, you're going to like this. Last thing we will touch on, which we already did, so this will be short, is sharpening. As I said before, Emerson's 154 is extremely easy to sharpen. This blade shape is not, so just grab yourself a rod or a coffee mug if you're going to sharpen this. The 154 is really easy to get little nicks out of and little rolls because it's pretty soft, and I appreciate that about Emerson's. Not everyone will, but I do. So sharpening is pretty much a breeze as long as you know what you're doing. I think that's it, guys. This is a fantastic EDC knife, and definitely for those cardboard cutters, those cardboard enthusiasts that I always hear about, those package openers that I don't quite know what they're living their life for, but they're out there and they are cutting boxes, and it is very important that they cut those boxes. So if you are doing that, grab a Micro Commander from Emerson. That's about it. I think we're done. On to the next one. As always, use your shit. Thanks, guys.